Hi guys, I'm here with another page in my Pocket Page notebook, and today I've got a little sprocket photo here, and I'm going to create a background, a complete background in Photoshop. I've created a new document which is the size of my spread in the Traveler's Notebook, and I'm going to place some of these label stamps from the Kellie Stamps Label 101 set. So I'm just going to File, Place, and then choosing the stamp that I want, making it the right size that I want, and then placing it onto my canvas. So I'm going to repeat this step a whole bunch of times. I'm using just about all the different labels, and I'm scattering them across the page in almost a diagonal sort of fashion. So that's how I'm starting anyway, and then I'm going to fill it in from here. So these are all the labels that I want to use, so I'm just going to right click them, or you can select them in your layers palette, and I'm going to duplicate the ones that I want more of. So I've just duplicated it, and then I'm going to scale them up or down depending on where I want them to sit on the page, and then just move them into the right spot. So as you can see, I'm making some of them bigger and some of them will be smaller, but I'm using these labels and I'm just going to carry on filling in the page with them. Now, of course, in this way, you could probably make your entire Traveler's Notebook layout digital. There's no reason that you couldn't. I don't, because I love paper too much, really. So this is just a really easy way to create a background. I don't have the stamps yet, but I love labels, so this was a really great way to use them. So I'm just filling them in. Some of these ones that are visually darker with the thicker lines and that big black stripe, I am adding more than one of them just to balance it out a little bit, to make sure I've got a good balance between those darker stamps across the page so that they're not all in one spot, and balancing that out with some of the smaller ones as well. So sometimes I've duplicated them, placed it and not liked it. So the brilliant part with digital stamps is that you can just delete it. There's no reason you have to keep it there. If you've used an actual physical stamp, you've stamped it and you don't like it, you either have to live with it or you have to stamp the whole thing again. So this way there is none of that. So that's the background. I like it. That's how I want it to be. So I can go ahead and just print that out. I've just printed it out on regular computer paper. I don't want anything too thick because I don't want it to take up too much space in my notebook. So printer paper works fine. I've just trimmed it down, and of course trimmed it in half so I can put some in my pocket, and this one here I'm going to glue straight onto the page on the left hand side. And the other piece I don't need to glue at all, it's just going to slip into the pocket. So I can just stick my sprocket photo down, and it is going to cover up some of the stamps that I've put down because I wasn't measuring anything, I was just going by eye, and I'm okay with that. And I had this bowl of frames on my desk, and I really liked the idea of framing one of these sprocket photos, and wouldn't you know it, these little Instax style frames fit perfectly those sprocket photos. So that was a very fortunate coincidence. I ended up picking one of these wood veneer ones. I think they're super old Amy Tan ones. I did have trouble getting the tape runner to stick to it. Normally I just use tape runner for wood veneer, but it definitely didn't stick to these little bits, so I'm just using some multi-matte medium to stick down the thinner pieces and lining it up against the sprocket photo. So like I said, you could have done all of this digitally. You could have added in your photo and then added your title, but I like playing with paper too much, so that's why I'm sort of hybriding it rather than being completely digital. So I'm going to add my title in here under the frame, and I'm using these very old, very tiny little gold alphas to spell out the first part, and then using these alphas from Studio Calico to write the last word here. And I'm going to add in the very tiny exclamation mark, and this is pretty much it. So I'm gonna add some journaling. Again, you could have done that digitally in Photoshop as well, but I'm just gonna add it with a pen. I'm gonna use the journal lines that are already on these digital stamps and just spread my journaling across the page in the same direction that those stamps are going as well. For a last final touch to bring that sort of peachy colour onto both sides of the page, I'm just going to add a few of these little enamel dots. Well, they're little enamel hearts that I'm adding. And this one here I realised would have fit perfectly in this label, so I'm very carefully trying to peel it off so I can fit it into this little label stamp here, which I think works much nicer, so I can add the bigger one on the other side. Slip my page into the pocket, which because of the wood veneer is slightly bigger, so I've just trimmed it down a little bit, and then I can slip that in, and that is this page all done. I mean, you can see how quickly you can do these sorts of pages with digital stamps and a bit of faffing around. This is probably less than 10 minutes. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!